Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we have wonderful guests. And today I'm delighted to have with me Amanda Newearth from Down Under, and that is Australia, as everybody knows. So, hi, Amanda. Let me bring you in here, and let me do that. Add sort. Oh no, that's not it. Okay, how do I bring you in here? Um, ah, just start talk. There we go. I'm sorry.
Hello.
I'm still kind of new at this, so bear with me. Anyway, um, tell us about yourself, Amanda. I think
Oh,
I've had you on before, but we haven't talked for so long. Maybe people forgot. You do a number of different things.
yeah.
You have a clinic, and you um, go ahead. You tell them.
Well, I'm just like everybody else with what's happened over the last 2 years. Life has been turned upside down, so I've had to reinvent myself in the way that I work. So I actually do a weekly tarot reading for Australia, New Zealand. I've done the Dumbs Decodes with Jean. I do my own now. And I have a show that I do, which you can access through amandanewearth.com. I do readings, I do healings, lots of different things. So yeah, I'm enjoying life actually.
That's wonderful. So are you psychic then? Is that what you're when you do readings, is that what you mean? You're psychic?
Yeah, telekinetic would be the way. Yeah, I do distance healing, etc. It's quite easy for me, very easy. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. So, how are things in Australia? From what we hear here in the United States, they're being pretty hard on the people and the Aboriginal people and so on, and that's very concerning.
Yeah, I would say that right now, um, with every show that I've done over the last year, I've started it off with acknowledgement to our traditional custodians and to really acknowledge that the upcoming leaders. And what's happened is that we've become unified. We're starting to become very unified because basically we're a colony and we're in a penal colony again, which is how Australia started out. So what's happened is that the unity that has come about because we're now being treated the same way as our original people. We don't call them Aboriginals; we call them the original tribal people.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so the wonderful thing is that they're now got a voice. But what's been going on in Australia is the same tyranny as all over the world. It's just that it's been publicised for you guys the worst bits.
Mhm.
It has just been shocking what they have done by capturing, saying that people were killed and all of these sorts of things, being shot in the back and all of these other things. In our world, it was actually optics. It was for terrifying you guys to wake you out of your slumber. And so I really hope you have. I really, really hope you have because because basically it has been tough 2 years. It's been really hard. Basically, and everyone's been under house arrest. That's kind of lifting now.
Mhm.
So we've got quite a few states, and we've got two territories as well. So the Queensland, which is the hottest, one of the hottest, and on the eastern seaboard, the highest state, it's actually now just going into the really harsh stuff. But there's two sides to everything. Like somebody was asking me, how are you going with with the program that's running? And I said, I'm so thankful to it. I'm so thankful for it because what's happened is for all the years I've been awake, we haven't been able to wake anybody up or help them. Yeah. And I go back to one of those Q posts, which is, well, you can't tell people, you have to show them. And that's exactly what we're in. Exactly
Ye
what we're in. But
That's
I have a
so
question for you too. I mean, from my perspective, looking at America, there's been some really harsh feelings towards America for a long time because of all the trouble that not the citizens of the US,
mhm.
but the bureaucracy and the as we know the negative side of the running machine of the US. So it's quite interesting looking at the US and knowing that they've got guns
Yes.
and still in the same pickle. What are you doing?
Well, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off our the YouTube and Facebook so we can feel free to speak, um, and say things that you might not be able to say on Facebook or on YouTube without getting into trouble,
No,
which
I'm
is a
shut down. I don't put anything up on those because I
yeah,
get big
they've had me in
strikes.
jail. They do all kinds of stuff. So, and I've had strikes on both of them. So I'm going to shut them off. So if you'll hang on just for one little minute,
No,
and
no
people,
problem.
you can go to my website at www.gailofgaia.com, and there are different platforms. The Rumble and Odyssey platforms are uncensored, and those are the ones we'll be going to. Okay, so hang on just a second while I shut the other ones off. They are done. That was quick and easy and painless.
Sorry that I'm controversial.
Oh, you're not controversial. Who's controversial is the controllers of the planet who are soon to leave, from what I
Very, very
understand.
close to leave. Yeah.
Yes. Goodbye.
Woo, hips. No more. No more.
Yes, we've had enough. You're
Oh,
done.
totally. Totally.
And what's going on here in America? And for a long time, I was going, come on, people, what's the matter with you? How come nobody's protesting? How come nobody's doing anything? And because everybody's in this mass hypnosis and sleepwalking um, um, life, paying way too much attention to the news and to the TV. And unfortunately, I think that has been what's put most people asleep. However, things are starting to change, and they're changing drastically. People are being taken to court. People are being called on the spot. We do have some political theater going on where people have the knowledge that they could actually do something about these characters, and they're playing the political theater so that they can raise funds for themselves so they can continue. However, I think I tend to agree with Julian Assange. Once they find out the truth of everything that's been going on, most of our government will be bye bye.
That's right. And like we seem to have had an accelerated pathway here, with all of the seriously nasty lockdowns, but everything has shown people what the control system is. And we know we're really being shown that big pharma is no good.
Yes.
Big media is no good. Big corporations no good, which is our government, and it's all being revealed. And all of the rest of them, they're all going bye bye. They're all crumbling, and that's something that happens in the tarot readings that I do. I get the Tower card, and we go, "Ooh, exciting!" But it's a really slow motion fall. It's really slow.
Well,
So
there
just yeah, sorry, go.
No, I was going to say that I think the reason they're going so slow is they're afraid that it's going to be such a shock to people that they're not going to be able to handle it. But I don't really. I know it might be shocking to some people who haven't paid any attention all along, but at the same time, I don't think everyone else should suffer because of it, because they'll adjust. We've adjusted to so many things over the many years, from world wars and so on. And humans are very resilient. They really are, in spite of everything that happens. Okay, I don't know where that came from.
No, me. That could have been me. Look, it's so true, and we're really an interesting population because we're really big-hearted and really laid back, and it's only when real push comes to shove, because
Mhm.
we have a different kind of patriotism. We'll do it for each other. We're in it together. We're united. That's the sort of impetus that we get here, instead of the big the Bill of Rights and your constitution. We've got our own flavor of things, and what's happened is that our men have been stepping up, and they're in fact becoming influencers. It's just
Good, good,
so
good.
good. And they're influencing other men to say it's okay. We all know that we've been sort of emasculated. And now it's just time to rise and step up and do this together, get behind the women. And the women have been leading it over here. And now the men are getting up and speaking, and they're leaders. It's just fantastic. We have We have Alex Cooney, who's an ex-policeman now. We have a pilot, who's really into his Christianity, and he's helping men to sort of rise. We've got a fantastic. It's not a political party, but it's a leadership group called Australia One. Ricardo Bossi, he's ex-military, and he's just speaking straight talk, and people need that. And we've got so many leaders, and the women can kind of relax a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but we're really at an exciting time. We're in a really exciting time. We know that the judicial system's corrupt. We know that our government's a corporation and sold out to the offshore people. It's really becoming very, very obvious. And whatever, charges that are put against any of these politicians are just thrown out. Which now there's a process. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I want to remind everyone, I guess we didn't get your name up underneath you. So this is Amanda Newearth from Australia that is speaking about conditions in Australia. And I just want to let people know that, because she has some wonderful things to say. And go on, please continue.
Thanks. So it's been a really, really hard time. We've had Victoria, where we've had the obvious that the Premier, which is like a governor for you guys, is obvious that he's in fact into totalitarianism. He's actually, they call him Dictator Dan. We've seen, because we're only a population of 26 million. We're a very small population in a massive continent. I think that's by plan.
Maybe that's why they picked on you first. I mean, that's where that seemed to be, locked down the hardest right out the gate.
Well, this is a haven. This is like where they were setting up for the New World Order headquarters.
Yeah, and then Pine Gap and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Pine Gap's nothing. It's Mount Zeal that you've got to worry about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's about 80 kilometres west, and that's an ET off-planet holiday resort. It's disgusting. That's the one that gave me the information. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a download, and it was that the contracts with the negative ETs are finishing. So we're going right up to there now. Sorry, because you mentioned Pine Gap, and we can't actually go to Pine Gap without talking about the negative ETs and what has happened here.
Let's talk about them. What the heck?
Yeah. So So you got Pine Gap, which was
we're free to talk here. They don't censor us here.
So we've got Pine Gap, which is CIA, which is massive hub. It's also the only port that can export uranium is Darwin, which is hundreds of kilometres north. So there's this, and all of the uranium comes out of down south of Alice Springs, basically. So we've got, what's the uranium for? Power up their underground military, homes or whatever under the ground. So we've got all these sort of massive things that go on in Australia. That's why it's such a small population, because there's plenty of land for them to do their dirty business. So when I did the decode last September 2020, I just started off with describing how all the geometry of the capital of this country is the same as Washington, DC. Washington,
really?
Yeah, so we've got all the symbology. So I've known it for a really long time, that it was the headquarters for the New World Order in Australia. There's pyramids and all that sort of thing. So it's not like we're just, scraping through. I mean, it's serious here. And if you think about the location to Antarctica, my hunch is that it's pretty much proving out is that basically Australians are part of the programs. It's completely MK Ultra, unless you're a seed, like a lot of us are seeds who have come to change it. But
yes.
So as I asked Q, he agreed with me that there's so many of us here in Australia to stop this now. So
did you speak with Q with Ted Marr?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Fascinating. Tell me more about that. That sounds very interesting. How did that go? Was that very long ago?
It was the most relaxed thing I've ever done. I was so relaxed. I feel like that energy that is emanated from Q and Ted is something that I resonate with. And we had a completely different conversation going on telepathically, which was really exciting. And for those people, I also had a friend of mine, Dale, on who's only 36, but he's got a fantastic mind to ask really good questions. Whereas at my age, I've processed so much. I've processed so much that I don't have that inquisitive mind like I was at 36, like data girl. I used to be a data girl.
Believe me, I
And
know
so,
what you're talking
and
about.
so he reminds me of me a little, So space programs are one thing, super soldier programs are running here in Australia as well. But then there's also the alliance side of things. So I found it really fascinating. We're talking, I'm saying something mealy mouth, hardly anything. I said, oh, yes, I went to a meeting and this is the result of it, us getting together now. At the same time, I'm telepathically saying, yes, on the solstice, 2 days after the solstice our winter solstice, your summer, my consciousness went to the moon. I'm talking, it sounds really crazy stuff. Not for me, though. It's not at all, because it's a consciousness thing. It's the job you're doing out there, and you just got to go. If you're called to go there, you've got to go. And we discussed it, and we came, and I had to gather the right people, which is what happened over the months. And what our beautiful viewers have been saying is that you could tell, some people could tell that there were different conversations going on. Some for just people who are ready to hear a little bit, and then for people who are energetically a little bit larger and light warriors could hear a different layer going on. It was great. I loved it.
Awesome.
So what did we? Yeah. So we're first. Yeah, Australia is first.
That's amazing. Well,
help's coming. Help's coming to our hearts. Yeah.
Seems to be lagging behind a little bit, or so much is remaining hidden. Some anticipate that that's because they're trying to draw out even more of the dark ones in order to catch them in the act, so to speak. And they claim that have you heard anything about military tribunals or emergency broadcast system and all that going on? What's your take on that?
Well, we've kind of got a bit of a warning here in Australia that we've got maybe potentially January, February, March, where the Alliance is going to be here actually locking us down, martial law for them to do the 80% of the surface, because we've got everything cleared underneath. Some people will argue with me, but I can see it. I look at it all the time, and we're really cleaned up. On the 15th of December, the negative ETs had to leave, and then we've got tomorrow. So with the EBS, yes, please. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. That would be really, really good if they could do this.
Well, do you think most of the Australian population has woken up, and is pretty awake and aware, shall we put it that way? I hate to use any kind of woke scenario.
Yeah, so we're probably the same as you, where you've got, to me, it's 2012 and everything we're taught about 2012, bifurcation, the splitting. And this splitting thing is actually within our society. So we've got one side, which are people who are they just follow the narrative. Yeah, they just want to join the program. They just do it because they're doing it out of a motivation that is probably generational. I mean, these programs have been running for a long time, and if you think about Australia, it's been running the whole time. So they're just going over there. And a lot of people who are coerced, like the coercion has been just astounding.
Here too. And you got these corporations coming out lying to the public about everything. There's Dr. Fauci lying about everything, and people in Congress playing games with him rather than arresting him. Even though they claim, there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes, but I'm tired of it being behind the scenes. I want it to come forward.
So this is very, very true.
So-called normies, or the people that aren't seeing what's going on, need to have the opportunity to see it.
Well, what I'm finding, so what I'm finding is now we're at a point where a lot of the people who were coerced and were in this group are now, because of the booster shots and things like that, they're going, wow, if I don't have that booster shot, well, then I'm going to be unvaccinated, and therefore I will lose all my rights, or I'll lose these freedoms.
What
So
freedoms? They still made them wear masks. They still made 'em, I mean,
it's
and then
quite
get ready
hilarious,
for
right?
booster of the month.
It's quite hilarious, you know. And I mean, you know, it's known now. People are really like, I am just impressed here. I'm really impressed. So you've got all those people, but what we got is an ever growing awake people that will die rather than take the program, the jab, the
Yeah,
poison, the transhumanism, AI. They
exactly.
would much rather die. And this is the light warrior. These are the light warriors, and
Yeah.
we will not do it. And we will fight, and we're fighting, but we're fighting energetically as well. So it's exciting times. And now what we're finding is the people out of that other group are now coming over.
Yes, isn't that wonderful?
This is just
It,
like, oh,
and so I remember, do you know David Icke?
yeah,
Okay. He used to always call it the totalitarian tiptoe. Well, it's turned
yeah,
into the stomp.
it's true. The stomp. I love it. That is
And
so
not,
true. That's so
yeah,
true. Oh,
and
that's I like that. I like that because we've been having a lot of protests. Yeah, you know, you
mm,
would have seen all the vision for all of the shooting that the police, the well, actually, there's so much intertwining because of 9/11. We ended up with these legislations, these laws over here for terrorism.
really,
But what they've done is it's domestic terrorism, which is what the citizens have become. Probably the same as what's happened over there with you. I know I've heard talk of that from January 6th, you know, at the,
oh yeah, that
yeah,
is
yeah, you know,
crazy.
where
They
the
got people
domestic terrorism.
in
Mm,
jail in isolation still over that. It's
mm,
actually
mm,
absolutely they're the criminals, not the
mm,
people in jail, the ones
mm,
that are
mm.
jailing them for something they really didn't do, for something that was basically a psyop that was
Yeah,
planned,
yeah.
that was um,
Manipulation.
total
Total pure,
total manipulation.
total mind
Um,
control. Yeah.
Yes,
But
and
it's
that's a
amazing.
problem with a lot of our population is mind control, and they don't really realize all the programs that they have. And it's not the people themselves that much, it's our government, and it's every government around the planet that has been co-opted, mind controlled, whatever they do to them to get them that all of a sudden they don't care about the people anymore. The only thing they care about is themselves and their agenda or the controller's agenda. And those are the ones that absolutely need to leave. One of the very interesting things, too, that I found out about that came out was David Icke brought up the concept of Wetiko, which is a name that was given by the Cree Native Americans to a what they call or refer to as a mind virus, where everything's inverted. Well, guess what? Everything is inverted by the controllers because they also have a very reptilian link, and that is. I was amazed because he said he's talked to cultures all over the planet, and they all talk about there was a time when humanity was very happy. They were living
Mm,
in paradise more or less, and it was very ethereal. And until these other invaders, basically malevolent
mm,
reptilian-like invaders, were
mm,
the vast majority of them. Um, Came in and started genetic manipulation, um, mind control, infiltration of all the governments and all the different agencies and so on. And
and
um,
ultimately, underneath it all, what their big cover up is human trafficking. And that is the thing. And they sign in blood. They're satanics. And that's just the evil side of them. It's something that's really starting to come out here, which is exciting. We have something that the government can do, which is called suppression orders. And we've had a lot of people who were involved with some MK Ultra. They were sex slaves. They were part of the satanic ritual abuse. Who have really been speaking up, and I'm just so thankful for them.
yes, because they've been through hell, literally. And
Absolutely, yeah,
and we have here what they call national security, and that's how they suppress all the information here. Because when you look into it, you find out that the very people that most people were looking up to are the very ones that have been doing it and
yep,
directly involved with it, either for the money or for the abuse or for whatever their perverted and inverted minds get involved with.
That's right. And like we're calling them pedivores
Yeah, yeah.
because that's what they are. So we're calling things how we're seeing it now, and it's much better. So the government could put a suppression order, which is like basically locking up investigations, papers, whatever, for 99 years on well-known public figures named as being judiciary ex-prime ministers who are part of this disgusting rings, right? So there's a little bit of a coming out, so I mean my role has been to kind of talk about the bigger things, which is the human off-planet trade, and why I talk about Mount Zeal, because Mount Zeal is where the negative ETs from off planet would come and holiday and be fed humans, fresh humans, and it's just horrible to think that, but we need to understand that this is behind everything. So let's see whether, how many people. There's always going to be a certain amount of people who won't arise out of it because they're not meant to. And I've always called them, with my heart, ballast, because a ship needs some weights in the bottom to keep from tipping over. And I feel as though they're actually by design. They're actually by design to not wake, because the infectious, contagious, the true contagion is our hearts, our love, our spirit, and us rising can actually overcome and wash through them eventually, and they'll just follow whatever's going on anyway. So it's up to everybody to really rise. That's what they are, and that's fine. I mean, it's not a judgment. It's just knowing what we're dealing with.
Right.
And then the more that peel over to us is going to be great. So we've got suppression orders. So people are talking about that, which is fantastic, lifting all of this and let's expose them all. We know they're all part of a secret club. We know that they're all, all of these really big concepts are coming out. So we've had a lot of really big protests as well for our country.
Yes.
We've had millions in the streets,
as a planet as a whole, we're all brothers and sisters. Right now we have countries and borders and lines of that nature, but basically we're all one and we're all part of the same, as humanity was meant to be. Everything that we're made of is a part of the earth, a part of the animals, a part of everything. And as people begin to remember who they are, it's just going to rise exponentially. And as we get these nasty beings off the planet, and according to Michael Salas and Elena and others, they're being made to remove all the spells, the rituals, black magic rituals that they were involved in to keep everybody in that fear mode. And fear is the opposite of love. And these people, even the controllers, are the ones that are probably in the most fear, because they fear they're going to be exposed because of what they're doing. And that is something they should fear, because they are being exposed.
They are.
And they should be more than happy to get the hell out of here.
Well, I mean, that's right. I mean, for whatever promise, whatever they thought that they were going to, whatever it was that they thought was going to be their kingdom, I mean, what foolish thinking, what foolish, greedy thinking. And that just makes the difference, doesn't it? Makes the difference. But there's so much ridiculous.
That's why I think it's so fascinating. Hence this name that they came up with, at least the Cree tribe. I'm sure the probably the Aboriginals, Australians have a name for it too, but it's like a mind virus that has infected so many people. Parasite, yeah. That's another way. Yeah. Yep. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you are. It's been contagious across the planet, basically.
Absolutely. That's the contagion. And the only recipe and remedy for that is to go inside and to actually start beaming out the love that we can produce from inside of ourselves and beam it out, really. And that diaspora that you were saying about earlier, about how, we're scattered all over the planet. And I mean, that was intentional, because if all of us, like, we only seem to keep like our original people, your original people, as they're the only ones, but we are original people too. And we've
Yes.
been thrown to the wind, and so we actually are remembering. So for me, it's Celtic background. We're remembering our own
Absolutely.
ways
Yeah.
of doing things and how
Yeah.
much they've hijacked all of our knowledge. They've hijacked everything and inverted it.
And
So
inverted it.
therefore,
Yeah.
people are fearful. People are really fearful, and people have accused me of being satanic, and I'm like the furthest thing from the satanic.
People have
Gosh,
accused. I don't see why they would do that, but okay.
I
People,
know,
it's
fearful
well,
people, fearful people.
yeah, fearful people, just like
Yeah,
people that used to burn people, working with herbs and trying to heal people in the old days, were witches and were burned at the stake for
yeah,
that kind of thing. I mean, that's as crazy as it is.
yeah.
And now anybody who doesn't go along with the official narrative is, of course, a conspiracy theorist
Correct. But
instead
we
of
know
a,
that that was started back in 63 when
yes,
JFK
exactly,
was taken out, and that was to control the narrative. And this is what's so
exactly.
exciting, is that people are seeing through it all.
Finally, finally, and
I
it
mean,
gets more and more so every day.
the
It's
veil is falling. Because to me, I think there's covfefe on the cell phone towers here. I think there's something else going on, but I really, really feeling, and I love talking with Ted Ma because we can talk this way about the beaming down from the galactics. My other part of myself that's up there, as knows what no, they're knowing what's going on in our free will and asking for help and reaching out and then receiving what they're giving us is like the beginnings of a med bed. It's
yes,
amazing.
yes, because of the frequency that they're beaming on the planet, it actually
It's,
is raising people's
yeah,
vibration. It's
yeah,
actually breaking down the programming. It's doing a lot, and I'm so thankful that they are doing
I
that because
know.
it's
It's
just been
so
so hard
exciting.
to get through to people in the past, and finally, we're making breakthroughs.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And it's just little things. It's like everything, one little thing and then it ripples through. So whether it's, that the media's lying. I mean, the media here is an absolute joke at the moment. It's hilarious, but they're dropping a few things in now, which is really interesting to see. And in the state that I live in, I don't have to wear a mask anymore or show my vaccine passport at this point.
Thank goodness for
We
that, right? They
well,
keep
well,
trying to push that narrative here too, and I don't know when,
it,
um, or
it's
if
not
Trump is.
working. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's something that's not working. But I think that most of it is to show the masses where we could have been, where we actually were going to end up if we continued.
To acquiesce to everything they ask you to do instead of saying no. And that's
Yeah,
been one of the biggest problems all along is to stop, think about it, and go to your heart. Does this feel right to me? And when your heart reveals that it doesn't, because if you have self respect, your body's your temple. You have a right, an innate right to determine what you want to go in it or not go in it.
mm.
And
Mm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think having been a penal colony, basically, and with this so-called freedoms, etc., and we had the baby boomers and quite prosperous generations, etc. But you've got people who have been just ducking down real low, and everybody just weaves through the laws.
mhm.
We're just a weaver. People just weave around, and but now it's like had enough of weaving around. This has got to go. So I just find it from all walks of life, because we're a high migration country too. So we've got migrant families whose parents were in terrible situations, whether it's Somalia to whether it's Europe,
Mhm,
whether it's Poland, whether it's Russia, whatever, just all of the tyranny, and they can spot it. They can spot it. So
mhm.
there's been a lot of private conversations going on the hush, which is how Australia works now. It's all coming to the surface, and we're moving in a different direction. So with this portal, I kind of go, well, they will have had to have done the rescinding of the spells.
Mhm, mhm.
They must
That
have
was
already
part of the
done it to
deal.
be going tomorrow.
Right.
So the one thing that everybody seems to have to do is we've been in a steamboat with the paddle going one direction in the river, and now we're actually starting to slow down to turn around into a different direction. We're in this time, we're in this moment where instead of continually identifying what's wrong, we have to now turn it around and start creating our futures, yeah, for our
Yes.
generations. So, but we're in this time. You might not be there, but in Australia, we're there, where we're just starting to. There's like a lull in that turn and redirection. We get to a point where you've got to kind of take a moment. We've got like 1.5 weeks to rest up before we really go to war. That's basically it. It's
And
really serious now.
mhm.
And
I,
it's a consciousness war because we do not have guns. Well, there's guns here, but they're like farmers and such. But we're not going to go to war with guns.
but when you have to fight that way, it's a losing. Um, it's not the way to go. And more benevolent, higher beings don't do it that way, and we shouldn't either, because that's where our heart should be coming from as well, as difficult as that may seem to be. And which is
It's the
why
way.
I think they came up with a wonderful way of dealing with this by giving them a certain amount of time to come forward, to remove the spells, to um, give the keys and codes to the as far as the financial system goes, and send them off to another place far, far, far away,
That's right. Far, far, far away, and
and they
and
can
keep an
never
eye
come
on them.
back.
Correct. And I mean, how incredible, Gail, that we're alive for this. Like, I mean, I know it's said often, but it's just such a beautiful thing to share. And this unity that we share,
Mhm, mhm.
you and I, Gail, is reaches, across the planet. There's so many people, and if this is what's happening in Australia, is because of all the protests, but from the harshest lockdowns in the planet to people actually defying all of these so-called laws, which were rules, which are all getting thrown out of courts, by the way. It's quite bizarre. um, the one thing is that the protests may not have been working to make change. They were, but it's the unity. It's the unity
Yes, yes.
that is running the show now. This unity is
This
just,
is this is why they a couple of reasons why they wanted to keep people 6 feet apart,
yep,
because of the heart and the energy fields meshing, and
yep,
one field influencing another energy field in a
yep,
positive way, and waking up kind of way, and
yeah.
because that's what happens, and
It's
that's what's so
incredible.
exciting about all this. It's happening anyway, and
It's
people
happening
aren't.
anyway.
Yes, and it was meant to be, and that's the way humanity used to be, and that's why part of the reason, apart from all the programming and all the crap that they've thrown at us, one of the reasons that humanity got duped was because we were a heart-centered
Correct.
people,
Trust.
and we had love in our heart, and it was just absolutely almost impossible to believe that anyone could do the kinds of horrendous things that have been done to our children, that have been done to women, that even have been done to men. Um, it's just absolutely hard to believe that anyone could ever do any of that.
Well,
And
that's
that's
right, because it's not from our hearts, is it? And this is the
no.
thing that makes us very different. And that's how we're actually operating in Australia, is through the heart, the unity, the communications. A tiny little town that I live in, we had 5,000 people at a protest. That was huge.
Wow,
It was, it was,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
And it's the unity. That's what it is. It's the unity. It totally is. So, I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to the next few months because we the frequency here is incredible, absolutely beautiful. It's if you choose to open up to it, though, that's really what it is. If you choose to open up to this frequency that's here, I'm not really into this so-called portal as anything except an ending tomorrow.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
an
mhm.
ending. And that goes on the back of the 15th of December being an ending. There's endings happening. Yep. So that's that chugging along on the river, and then, ending, got to go back the other way or change direction or whatever. That's where we're
Mhm.
at. It's so exciting. I don't know what it's like for you over there, but I sort of go, a lot of people, I'm going to say it to the Americans who are listening, stop hiding behind your guns. Stop it. Just stop it. Put
Exactly.
them down and get your heart, because it's conquering. We're an unarmed population. We're so resilient. And we're really from the same places. We were created by the same mob, the Rothschilds. The US and Australia were both created by the Rothschilds, just that you're under banner of Rockefeller,
Yeah.
but he was an agent. I mean, we're the same. Yeah. But you guys have
And
been used. You guys have been used.
big time.
Big time. And
That's
and
why,
I'm really pleased that you guys know that now, because we've been hating on America for a long time.
because, well, the people have been so duped. The
Yep,
government has been so corrupt, and people didn't know it. They really didn't know it because
no,
the programs were, I mean, everything is about taking down America right now too, is how
that's
it's
right.
been anyway.
PNAC, Plan
And
for a New American Century. It had its wheels going for quite some time, and now
yeah,
it's lockstep. So, but what I love is that you're resilient too. You may have a different accent, but we are so alike. We
no,
are,
yes.
and we've just maybe got some slightly different weather here or whatever, but and a much smaller population. But the US isn't going to be taken down. And look, we can all agree that it's just going to be fantastic to get rid of the reserve and the what
Oh
do we
my
call it,
God,
the
yes, they have.
petrodollar. It's going to be so good to get rid of it, because one of the
Did,
things I learned a long time ago, say on that monetary thing, is that other countries outside of the US was getting very cheap product and really cheap, and the citizens were getting everything really cheap. But people come over to Australia or in other countries, and they realize just how much we're paying. We pay
yeah,
way
that's
more,
because they kept it on the petrodollar. They were setting America up to have
big
the
time.
rest of the world hate them even more. And
Wow.
they didn't, people were so misinformed that it just
But
wasn't,
that's right. But that's
it's
the
not the people. The people can
no.
only operate on the information that they thought was correct. Just like they they sent our sons and daughters to war so many times,
That's
off to
right.
die, get maimed, get injured in all different kinds of ways. And if they didn't get maimed and injured physically, they got mentally destroyed.
And emotionally. And if you've noticed, Australian troops are by the US side. We have not been out of military deployment for 60 years or something crazy, because of the alliance with the US. We've never been to war with anybody about. We've had a lot of damage on ours as well. So it's the
Hmm.
same machine. It's the same machine that's been operating since, I suppose way back, but Napoleon, the
Yeah,
Rothschild funded both sides, to get the gold.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's the same game, but I think the
right.
game's up.
The game is up. It
The
definitely is up.
game's up.
And whereas the Rothschilds have been informed that they will be banished from this planet as well. And that's because of their reptilian background. Um, and
All the deals,
they,
but all the contracts on the 15th ended. Now we've got the portal, so they're going. I don't see that. I don't feel as though the Rothschilds are even around,
they've already been,
unless, yeah,
yeah.
I reckon there's a lot of that. And oh, it was so funny. One of our really disgusting politicians went to America for some conference, and
Hmm.
he came down with the COVID, with the Rona. We call it the Rona, with the
The
Rona.
Rona,
He
yeah. I hate to
came
even
down with
use
the Rona.
the COVID word because that someone I discovered that if you spell that backwards, it means demon possessed.
Uh-huh.
See how they invert everything?
Oh, their
Everything's
asses.
inverted.
Oh, their asses. And they're going. They're not welcome anymore.
No, they
Um,
sure aren't.
they ain't welcome. And this resilience, this free will that you're feeling, that I'm feeling, that all these people are feeling, because we know who our enemy is. Until then, we couldn't pinpoint.
No, we
We couldn't
couldn't.
pinpoint, because we're always told that, oh, if we feel that way towards somebody else, then we must check ourselves, because it's a reflection. No, which is true on a personal level. That's normal growing. But in
Mhm.
this situation, no. We've been too nice for
Exactly.
too long. They're going.
Exactly. And what was I going to say? Um, Look at the people, the truthers, if you will, that have spoken out years ago and what they have put up with. Like, it's amazing that David Icke is still alive. I mean, he
Mm.
obviously was protected. Some
Yeah.
others weren't as fortunate,
No,
but they
that's
were
so true. Very
they
true.
spoke up at a time when the rest of the population just mocked them, and because they bought into the narrative, not realizing that they were being lied to. And people like
Oh,
Phil Schneider,
yes. Yes.
he was murdered for what he knew, and so many others. I can't
So
even think
many
of all
of
the
them. Yeah,
so many
that's
others.
right. And another person I'm really, really appreciative, even though a lot of people put a lot on her now, is Kerry Cassidy. I'm so thankful to Kerry Cassidy
Boy,
because
she's
back in
one heck of an investigative
she's brilliant. And I mean,
reporter. I don't care what they say about her. She does a great job.
she does a
Whether
great job. Yeah, yeah. And
and
she's stuck
she,
around too.
yeah, she
Whew.
did. Yeah.
Because the one thing that people are doing is they're really throwing the stones at a lot of people when they don't know how brave you've got to be to get in front of a camera and keep talking. They don't really know
Yes.
what it takes. And
No.
yeah, and how much we've got to censor until we can't. But a lot of people are very there's been a real antagonistic, and to me it was over the last few months, and to me it was another layer of the work that was going on in the people to release these programs from them. They just went totally negative and really casting terrible dispersions on people. But Kerry Cassidy's one that I'm so thankful for. I was Australia ground crew back in 2005 or whatever it was. I can't remember.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so it's a long journey, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I can't think of anybody that she hasn't interviewed really. I mean, she works her tail off, and she goes after she's not afraid to ask hard hitting questions.
Yeah.
And I admire her. I respect her for what she does.
Me
And
too. And there's the other thing too, Gail, is that nobody can tell 100% truth because there is no way you can know 100% truth. There's always going to be the 80-20 rule,
yes,
and there's a lot of
absolutely.
people that 20% of just where it's wobbly is where you can get infiltrated or people can spin it. But nobody can. But it's all the jigsaw pieces together that make and fit. And here
Well,
we
they
are.
Yeah, and they even say, right now, during this time period, we're getting disinformation from both sides. One to throw one side off, and one, is common. They've been doing it all along. It's nothing new to them. But the white hats, so to speak, sometimes put um, disinformation out there on purpose in order to um, bring forward more of the nefarious ones
Yeah,
to be
that's right.
out in the open and seen
Yeah.
and taken care of as a result of it. So,
Yeah. So as far as I know, we're at about we've got 80% on the surface to clean up. So that's a lot of cleaning up. But oh wow,
oh,
woohoo!
it's really 80%. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but underground's cleared up as far as I know. So that's really good because they can't get out now. And I'm sure we've had tribunals going on the whole time anyway, because
Okay.
we have not seen politicians for 2 years. Only a sprinkle of them, and they're all retiring, and they're all.
And
It's
how
just
about all the
crumbling.
CEOs that are resigning? How do you like
Yes,
that?
yes,
Isn't that
exactly.
isn't that nice? Wow. We're just living in the best of times and the worst of times in a
It is.
way.
It
And
really is. Yeah.
but it's a wonderful time to be alive, to see this going on. I mean, if you would have been alive, 50 years ago, you wouldn't have made any, you wouldn't have seen it. Well, maybe I better figure those numbers differently, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know
Um,
exactly what you mean. Just a
so
generational thing, and also the capacity, because we've had capacity increases over our generations as well to get to this point to conquer this.
uh-huh.
So if you think generationally, if you think of your great grandparents, I mean, in one way, they were more open-minded than the society now, but at the same time, they may not have been able to cope with what is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That
it's pretty.
is that's the biggest thing that they've been saying all along is they think that the people can't handle the truth. What do you
Ah,
think about that?
well, I think that that's inverted.
There you go. Thank you. Yes, you're absolutely right.
It
I
is.
agree
It's
with
just
you.
totally inverted. It's all of it's inverted, and for national security, phew, crap. That's another inversion, because really we are. They treat us like children, and if we're really just a crop to them, so they're just waiting to harvest us, and that sort of mentality is just going. It's just disappearing. It's all inverted. We've got this incredible couple of years to come get through, and I think by the Great Council coming together in 2025, well, I think we will have done the job that we were meant to do. I know we will, and we've just got a couple of years of really just sort of
Yes.
moving
We have
into
to
the new.
deal with some of
Yeah,
the people that have been programmed
yeah,
by the controllers, more or less,
mm,
and but they're going to have an increasingly difficult time to manage things, I would think, and because their overlords are gone. But maybe all of that'll just fall away when all these spells and rituals and black magic are removed too. That could be
well,
very interesting how
that's
that
it.
manifests.
Yeah, and with doing the decodes, I really so I do all the Australian earthquakes. Like, you wouldn't think that Australia had earthquakes, or would you? Well, we don't. We have 10-kilometer tremors. Anyway, we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of them since January 2017, when Mr. T came in. And I actually do a map, and the map has the ley lines, and it has all of these earthquakes, and it really reveals a lot. So just recently, everyone was talking, oh, there was an earthquake in Melbourne. Well, no, it wasn't in Melbourne. It was quite a few hundred kilometres up into the mountains, which is a major hub, the whole mountain range that goes from Melbourne all the way up to Queensland, Brisbane, and beyond. And, and it starts showing you just how they have been hijacking the ley lines, because each ley line has a
Yes.
different frequency, and those
Yes.
frequencies have been hijacked. And so I've been watching it and going, oh, this is really great, because we're getting back. So there are two ley lines that we don't really know what they mean, because they're beyond ether. So that would be our
Mm.
spiritual energy, and that would be our intergalactic energy, in my mind, in my heart.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And
Wow,
so they
fascinating.
and so they are, getting rid of the installations that are under the ground. And we've got a lot in Australia. It's massive, but it's fascinating, because all they have to do is build on those. Of course, they're not built up areas. They're not built up areas, so they've had total harvest time, total ability to run whatever frequency through all the ley lines in Australia.
Wow.
And so MK Ultra, that television, all the trauma, all the torture, just all of the controls, all of the laws, all of the things, it's all dissolving. We're getting our ley lines back. We're getting our souls are going to function so beautifully.
Our
You know,
connection, yeah,
yeah,
is
yeah,
is getting cleared, and it's like trying to go over a road that's full of bumps and all kinds of things in the way, and you have to go around and all that, and all of a sudden it's all being cleared, and it's
yeah.
it's going to change to a super highway instead of a
Ah, yes, I know. And I'm sort of going, will I blow up? Will I blow up with all the frequency coming?
yeah, it makes you
I've
wonder, doesn't
been, yeah,
it?
I've been
It's
working with,
absolutely awesome. I'm so
yeah,
excited about everything that's happening, and
exactly.
it's all good. You know, there were a lot of. I just saw a gene decode on the United States and all the dumbs. And there are, according to him, but I don't know what the date when he did this. There were still a number of them that hadn't been totally cleared, but there's so many of them. Oh my God!
Yeah, it's quite
Um,
incredible. It's quite incredible. And then, like just one earthquake doesn't mean it's a dam. It means that it could be a transit line, which confuses a lot of people. But they wouldn't be able to move forward on the solstice, the portal yesterday, or do the end of the contract on the 15th of December if we weren't at a good point.
Point. Yes, yes, yes.
Because the other thing too is that you haven't got the negative ETs. You've just got
That's
the
big.
real
That's huge.
nasties. You've just got the nasty people who have lost it. Because as far as I can tell, I mean, it's easier to tune in to Australia than it is anywhere else because I'm on the continent. New Zealand's still got a little bit of work,
Mm-hmm.
not much. I don't know. I think that there's something deeper going on than we had because I know that they've sealed off the Antarctica. They probably did that probably last year. But with New Zealand, they're going through absolute hell at the moment. So if prayers could go to New Zealanders, they are just like our lost brothers and sisters at the moment, and they're going through the mass awakening. But it's just horrendous, and they've got a very small population. But through it, leaders come out. And in time they'll get there, but it's really hard over there. What we were going through a couple of months ago is happening there now. So I send my love to you all
We
over
have a
New
bit of
Zealand.
a ways to go here yet in America, I think.
Yeah,
We're getting there, but we got a ways to go. Um, but so many people are stepping up, and I was really concerned there for a while, but now they're stepping up. They're taking them to court, um, which is well, the
and
courts are so corrupt. That's the
yes,
problem.
yes,
But actually,
exactly,
it's showing the people how corrupt the courts really are. I
exactly,
mean,
exactly,
the judges are bribed, the prosecutors are bribed,
absolutely.
the court is there for profit because every single one of those things has been set up as a corporation and a business. And I don't care what business it is, every business is for profit
Yes,
and it's not for humanity. And once people realize that, in spite of the fear that they think that's going to invoke, oh my God, there's going to be all these criminals and la 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 la. No, no. Once all this other these horrific rituals and black magic and negative ETs are exported far, far, far away,
far away.
never
Yep.
to return.
Never, never, ever, ever. And we've got to all keep an eye on this sort of thing. And it's really interesting you were saying about the revealing of all of the corrupt people because you don't
Mm-hmm.
get into those positions unless you've signed the blood contract. And not only is it the blood contract that they've signed, but they've also been black. They've got dirt on them. The file, we call it the file. I've been calling it that for a long time anyway. The file on them. Everyone's got a file on them. You know, the blackmail file to manipulate them. So I
Blackmail,
mean,
yeah.
it's people who have been have the dirt on them that are going to have to stand up. They're the ones who are going to have to come out and say, "Look, I raped a child. I didn't know it was a child, but I've heard of this happens to everybody." Wow, can you imagine the dominoes that would fall?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Can you
really.
imagine it?
That if they don't get killed in the process, that's the other aspect of it because that's probably where their fear lies. But the fact of the matter is they were programmed, they were bribed, they were probably drugged in order to do that in the first place if they were, good people to begin with, because that
Yeah.
happens too.
That happens
From
so much, it's not funny. And I mean, this is all part of the game that is actually crumbling and falling apart, is this game, this very one right there, the inverted. Everybody in power is not trustworthy. And so, therefore, there's this great big movement in Australia, which is we want leaders. We know that, well, hopefully it's getting out there that our voting systems are CITEL, you know. So
Mhm.
we've had corrupt voting
Oh, our
systems.
yeah.
for the same amount of time you have since they got
Our
the thing.
yes,
Yeah,
our elections system has been fraudulent for eons. I mean, I
that's
quit
right.
voting a long time ago, but then I was willing to vote for Trump just to make things change or hope things were going to change. And at least he seemed to stand up against all this because he's done more than anyone else has in
Yeah,
that regard. So,
interesting
kudos to
because
him as a
mm,
result of that. And nobody else took on this human trafficking and these satanic ritual abuse and all that kind of stuff. No one.
that's
And
right. And I mean, thank Pizzagate. Sorry, but thank it for blowing it up. And Ghislaine
mm,
Maxwell's in there, because remember, everything that's going on in the US is happening here too. The same thing. It might be just a different player, but they're all connected. So you've got Epstein and we've got Richard Branson. So, it's all tied up together. We've got the royalty and all of that sort of thing. But we're a corporation that is crumbling, and people are really starting to see it. It's just so exciting. It's just so exciting.
it is. It really is. And
Yeah.
corporations have no place in our world.
No, that's right. And I mean, this is where I've been sort of talking with people too and going, okay, well, how long have we known about the a possibility of free energy, where you don't have to pay for the energy and that the energy that was provided is healthy. Wow. People don't understand what ramification that is. If we can take the meters off and get into the free energy, which is what our home planet is meant to be like,
Yes, they
well,
had
this is
that years
home.
ago. And they made us think that what happened eons ago was actually they were primitive. No, we're primitive.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct. And everything has to have a meter on it. Everything has to have a fee. It's
yeah, and
absolutely
that's
crazy.
it was the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds that when Tesla had free energy, it was, oh, you mean you're not can't I can't put it? No, we can't have that. You got to have a meter on it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Wasn't it Westinghouse? Yeah, that's right. And you just go, well, these are the things that we've got to kind of understand, that we're going into a completely different way of doing things, and it's
Paradigm.
going to take
Yeah.
some adjustment. For you and I, we'll take it on easy. We won't have a problem.
Do you
We
want
won't
to?
have a problem.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you want to continue and take a little break, or would you like to call it a day and we could go either
Um,
way?
okay. Did you want to just have a quick break and we'll come back and see how we go?
Okay, I kind of like to cover when we come back a little bit on the rise of the divine feminine.
Sure.
Would you like to cover that? Okay.
Yeah,
All
let's do
right.
it.
Well, stay with us. I'm going to play a little commercial, you might say. And I'd like to say, everybody, to everyone out there, I'm very much of a listener supported channel. I can't get by without some help, and I hate to say that, but that's just the way that is at the present time. And I appreciate and I'm very, very grateful and thankful to those people that do help. And even if you buy some of the products or whatever, we get a little percentage. The free range does. It's not a lot, but it's something. So every little bit helps. And thank you so much, all of you. And I've tested and tried all the products, and the products that I suggest are good, and people have had good results for them. So, um, in a new paradigm, I wouldn't even do that at all. But right now, until things change, it is what it is. So, thank you. And we're going to take a little break right now, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Free Range is pleased to present Modexis and the superfruit Lonicera caerulea. The cornerstone of Modexis products, Lonicera caerulea, is a superfood that supports life at the cellular level. Whether you're looking for a longevity product with added glutathione and ATP, something to help lift you through the day without having to resort to stimulants like caffeine or acidic energy drinks, or just seeking a natural solution to support stress management, Modexis also has a natural approach to pain management. Its Relieve product is unique in its ability to support the body's own pain management system. It's been said you'll notice a difference the very first day. The second day, you'll be loving the products, and the third day, we'll be telling friends about Modexis. Visit modexis.gailofgaia.com to learn more and to see what other people are saying about these quality products. That's modexis.gailofgaia.com. Free Range with Gail of Gaia is honored to be affiliated with MyNutra, makers of hemp paste. Hemp paste is a whole food product that still contains most, if not all, of the terpenes, phytonutrients, essential elements, and CBDs of the raw hemp plant. CBD oil manufacturing methods strip away living essential elements, leaving only one, a dead CBD oil. CBD oil alone simply cannot support the entourage effect that occurs when hemp pastes essential nutrients go to work to support your optimum health. Almost 200 terpenes and over 500 other phytonutrients work together with a synergistic effect that simply doesn't happen with CBD oil alone. Visit hemppaste.gailofgaia.com. That's hemppaste.gailofgaia.com to learn more. And be sure to check out the impressive array of hemp-enriched products while you're there. That website again, hemppaste.gailofgaia.com. That's hemppaste.gailofgaia.com.
Hi, everyone. We're back. Hi, Amanda. That was short and sweet, and I hope you do try the products. They're great. I love them, and I think you will too. But anyway, we were going to carry on and talk a little bit longer about the rise of the divine feminine. And I think one of the things that's happening is that's why it was interesting you said earlier about the men are coming out to back the women. And especially when it comes to children, women are going to fight no matter what. I mean, it almost brings tears to my eyes to see what some of the things that have been happening to children. And mothers become mother bears, and they're not going to take it anymore. And they need to be educated about what these things, these jabs and so on, do to their children. And but some of these children came in to show that very thing, is what I've been told. So as hard as and difficult as it is to see, um, I'm so happy that so many women have stepped up first. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, it's an interesting one because it's actually really just soul, and soul has the divine masculine and the divine feminine.
Right.
And what we've been going through is actually an amalgamation of the both, not androgynous, because it's about, like I know that being single mothers, you actually take on a masculine role. So we've had quite a bit of practice at it, the women. But with the men, it's bringing in that peaceful protest, but with that passion that a man can. So there's this amalgamation going on, which I'm finding even more beautiful than ever. It's their sensitivity. It's not just gone home and out with the guns and shit. Not that masculine.
Yeah.
It's the true masculine with the softness. And it's the women who are being very determined and very, very strong, which is a little bit of that masculine energy, and very passive as well, but silent but deadly. Silent but deadly. So I'm actually finding, and say with my journey, say with the Jabadoos, my journey on that started a long time ago because I've been awake for a really long time, and I actually found out the Big Pharma had a program to muck about with the genetics of our children through the vaccine programs. And so I knew that Big Pharma was a big dupe anyway, a big money-making machine, because I was actually into all the herbs and everything and into natural medicine. I actually knew that they were doing, what was it called? Codex Alimentarius, which was to stop all of our natural goodness-giving plant-based health. So, and that's a long time ago. And so I actually knew not to actually enter into the program.
I'm away,
children.
Right with you there, because I worked in healthcare, and I found out over time the reason why the costs of healthcare were so high. Part of it was the machinery, which came first before anything else. Nutrition and all that type of thing was downplayed. Big Pharma would take the active ingredient in an herb and tweak it in such a way so that they could call it their own and then patent it. And I saw so many people that would come in and they were doing fine, really, and then they would hook them up to chemo, and many times and then do surgery too. It's the cut, poison, burn thing, and then people would, they would frequently die right there. And I got to the point where I didn't even want to see it. But it's very disturbing, because once again, when you have healthcare that's based on profit,
and not heart either. It's a machine.
exactly.
It's a machine, and all big pharma is chemotherapy. Every single bit of it's chemotherapy,
Yes.
but people don't see it that way. It's all synthetic, and this is the thing. They've had cures for cancer for a very long time, and
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be anything like it is. And so so knowing all of those things as the divine feminine, I had to protect my children. I did everything to not get them in the program. I kept them at home. I had to go without, my husband was fantastic. And we were on board, put them into an alternative schooling system, Steiner system as well, because it actually resonated with me too, being who I am. And I got them through. I never had them on Australia. We have something called Medicare, and we had an immunisation register way back 30 years ago when my children were coming into the world. And I actually did everything to keep them off the Medicare system, off the system,
because they really push it there. Really
Well,
push it there. They do that here too.
Yeah. And so they were going to come and take your children if you didn't do it back then. So it's been progressively. So we've now got generations of conditioned people. That's why we're in this situation. It's become normal. So that divine feminine, that you are the lioness. You will fight. You will go without. You will do anything to protect your children.
Yes.
So it's quite an incredible situation to be in now, where they're real pure bloods, and they're awake as well, because they can receive. So the divine feminine is a beautiful thing, but to me it's the divine masculine and feminine together, instead of it being a dominating situation, because we were a feminine domination before we became this masculine domination. Now it's time to meld it together, because we're so much more than this. We're so much more.
Yes, definitely. And it's not, I always wanted to say that it's not the divine feminine coming in to be over the divine masculine. That's not the point at all. The point is there's been this inequity that needs to even out. And because technically they're both necessary. And they've divided us. They've pitted us against each other. They programmed us in ways that were not conducive to healthy relationships. And
all of it, all by plan.
All of it. Yeah.
So that's by design. See, and that's all part of the Piscean age. And now we're in this interesting time in between the Piscean age and the Aquarian age as a frequency. And that's part of that steamboat thing that I talk about. We're in this area, we're about to change direction. And again, it's like getting used to these new abilities that we have, like being able to balance our masculine and feminine. And it's coming to a town near you. It really is. It's just, I don't think people have much of a choice. Either it's, especially in Australia we don't have arms, so therefore we can't go into that masculine energy that's got that sort of more push, And I find it interesting that you brought up the divine feminine, because we need to go through this in a passively. That's why you're bringing up the divine feminine, because we need that passive nature to get through this. Very passive. Mm-hmm. Passive, but with that masculine push,
So that's why the combination is ideal.
It is, yeah.
A little bit of both is really necessary. And it's kind of interesting when you think about the gun issue and what they did and how they managed to manipulate that by taking people MK Ultra emming them, mind controlling them, like put it that way. It didn't come out right. But anyway, taking and then having them go shoot up a school
that's right.
Even if it was a false flag, but everybody thought it was real because they'd done that too. But as a means to take that away and
And with the crisis actors, you know, that's quite amazing, isn't it? And I think it was years ago we found out that they were on some certain big pharma drug as well. Yeah.
Undoubtedly. Well, I don't know if you noticed some of the like the one of the, let's see which was the name of it. The one, there was a shooting in Colorado. But if you were to look that guy at that guy's eyes, you know, they're totally bug eyes. I mean, you know, it's not at all normal. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
really
So,
frequently an indicator right there.
mm,
But when people are on drugs, that's when it's the easiest, no matter whether that be alcohol,
that's right.
whether that be prescription drugs, because people sometimes think prescription drugs makes it all okay. No, you can also be more easily mind controlled because you don't have complete control over your faculties.
Yes, and I mean they've really tried. I don't know how many false flags have they done in the US. I can't believe it. So many of them. It only took one in Australia. It happened in Tasmania, and we had a gun amnesty, and everyone handed them in. I mean, it was incredible. We had one false flag, and people did it. And then just to reinforce, we had another one, the Lind Cafe one, which was a total false flag again. And we had the Christchurch guy
I have to
in
say,
New Zealand.
I have to mention here one of our best exposers of false flags. His name is James Fetzer, and you
Right.
can find him on the internet. And he has, over the years, gotten together groups. It's not just coming from him, but groups of experts on different scenarios and what was possible and what actually happened. And he just had a recent seminar on that, and it will be available for up to a year. But it's really worth taking a look at his site and his information, because I don't think anyone else has done the same level of
Mm,
research on
mm.
false flags that he has. And they also call him the conspiracy guy, and he's also been, you know, taken down, sued by a crisis actor for millions, and
Interesting.
the courts back him up.
Mm.
Not him up, but back the crisis actor up. So again, it just demonstrates the nature of the corrupt judicial system, which is a business, by the way, for profit.
Correct. Everything. Every government
Everything,
department.
absolutely everything.
Well,
And
that's interesting. Yeah.
that's planet wide too, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was, I think it was started here in 1972. It
Hmm.
started this progress where they floated the dollar and got rid of the gold and started this corporation. It started then, probably earlier. So I mean, yeah, it's lockstep. Like, you know, lockstep program is a lot bigger than just
Yes,
this. You know, it's
yes,
all in lockstep, and
lockstep.
it's obvious now. I think that the greatest thing for everybody is to see, well, this has to be planned to be global.
Yeah,
It has,
well, it was planned and it was global, and
yeah.
there were a lot of corporations involved. A lot of them. Like, oh, I think I have a figure somewhere of 4,100 different patents on different things, all related to the COVID fraud.
Oh,
And all these were companies working in conjunction with each other to
yeah,
profit off of the demise of the people. I mean,
exactly. Depopulation. And
yeah.
we have a professor here who's actually a practicing doctor as well, and he developed a vaccine for us, but they wouldn't rush it through, and it doesn't harm. It doesn't harm at all. You actually get healthier from it, and it just goes to show you that the crooked. It's so crooked. It's just. I mean, we don't have to convince each other of that one. We know. We know.
Yeah, yeah,
We know. And of course, our the
exactly.
what is it? The government of Australia is registered on the US stock exchange.
So are a lot of people, and they don't even know it.
Oh, we're born with that.
Our,
Yes.
our,
Yep.
yeah, our all
Yep.
capitalized name is
Yeah.
is a corporation that they made
That's
us,
right.
and
That's
they
right.
use it, and they've tied it into the Department of
Yeah.
Transportation, the
Yeah.
court system, the law
Exactly.
enforcement system, all of that. And
So if people
wait
don't
till
realize,
people find that
that
out.
we've been, yeah, sorry, if people don't realize we've been slaves since we were born, it's
Yeah,
time to just turn that little cog, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, Alex Jones was so correct with Prison Planet. Um, you
yep.
know, it's just
And they're
Prison
trying
plane.
to take him to court and shut him down now too. So we
Oh, are they?
support Alex Jones, and if you can, be of support in any way,
Yep.
he has done a lot and taken a lot as well. And it's you have to give credit to these people that have been willing to stand up and stand
incredible.
out when it was not a popular thing, because one of the
Yep.
biggest things that people seem to have problems with is if they're afraid of what other people might think of them.
Yes. That's how you appear. That's base
Yes.
chakra, and that's base chakra, and that's exactly what they've been attacking, because that's nation, that's the unity, family. That's it's just amazing. Yeah.
Boy, they went after that. I mean, I remember. I mean, I've had issues with that myself, and when I was younger, and still do. But I recognize it now, at least, and that's part of the things that people can do is once they recognize some of the subconscious programming that goes on inside of their head that is not to their advantage.
Yeah. So true. It's so true. Like there's so much. It's so much. It's such a see. If we stay in our heads and don't go into our hearts, we won't get there. So, like all decisions need to be made from the heart, not from the head. And so it's time to get out of your head. And I'm starting to see how the rabbit hole, the white rabbit, is part of a distraction as well. I mean, we need to be informed. We really need to be informed. And there's been quite a lot of people who have actually taken that on to be perhaps white rabbits in a sense, not in the MK Ultra satanic sense, but to go down the rabbit holes to bring the information for people. So indigestible bits. But I'm seeing that it's almost time to go, well, how many more rabbit holes can I go down? How much proof do I need? And to start sort of easing up on it, because it's becoming a distraction to what's really going on. People can't quite see the turnaround. I mean, I'm talking about Australia, but I don't know for you because I don't live there.
It's all over. It's all over. But what do you tell people? You work with clients and so on. What do you have them do to get into their heart rather than their head?
It's a really simple thing, ridiculously simple. The first thing we do when we're born is we breathe. Okay, so with everything we've been through, the breathing muscle just underneath your ribs is really tight. It's really, really tight. So you put your hand on your tummy and then you breathe into your hand. So your hand moves out, and just by doing that, by taking the breath down into the tummy, what we're doing is we're taking ourselves just slightly out of flight and fight, freeze, and also fear, because our nervous system in the vagal nerve runs through the muscle. And so what we're doing is we're sending a signal that we're okay to the vagus nerve. Okay. This is really important, right? So it's simple breath work. And then you just keep stretching out the diaphragm. Okay. And because you're focusing down there, you get out of your head. Right.
Okay. And so breathing helps you get out of your head. Deep breaths, slow deep breaths.
That's right. Because most people are only doing birdie breaths up here, which is the signal that you're in stress, which means fight, flight. And it locks you into the fear, and it's part of their program. So by breathing, that brings you down into yourself as well. Yeah.
So take your hands, put them on your stomach, and feel take deep breaths
just below your belly button. Yep.
And
you breathe out. So then you breathe in. I'm safe, whatever it is. I'm so safe. And you breathe out. I let go of all that stuff I don't need anymore, whatever it is. And just continue doing these types of things. So taking in, because prana, it's charged. It's charged. It's intention. You're taking it into your body. And it takes you out of your head. And as soon as you're out of your head, your heart can go. Your heart can do it. And as soon as you start taking off the pedal on the take the governor off is what because you've got governors. Take the governor off, which is the diaphragm. Take it off the pedal. Then you just come out and you start feeling, and you end up feeling peaceful rather quickly. So you breathe in what you want, you breathe out what you don't want. And so that's really basic, but I do a myriad of things. So myriad.
So you could breathe in love and
breathe out tension.
Gratitude. Or intention.
No, you breathe in gratitude and you breathe out the tension. So
Always
you,
breathe
you
in love and gratitude, and then breathe out
breathe out what I
tension.
don't want anymore. I'm going to
What you don't want.
release. I'm releasing all of that stuff. I'm exchanging the good for the yuck. Good and the yuck goes, because we've got to do that transference of releasing it out of ourselves, out of our being. You know, we have to intentionally let go of the stuff that we don't want anymore. Otherwise, we're just trying to put Band-Aids on the top.
And that helps to bring you into your heart.
Yeah, it does. It instantly does it. Well, I feel that it does works for everybody that I do it with anyway. I don't know, because it just turns off the cues, which is, what am I saying? What am I saying? What am I hearing? What am I hearing? What am I hearing? You know,
what do I need to do?
What
do I need to,
yeah. You know, the whole thing. It just starts switching that off. So then you're going internal. So it actually changes it for everybody. Pretty quickly.
You hear people, and I get this all the time. You hear people say, you know, guests and so on will tell people to go within, and people go,
how?
What do you mean? What is that? What do you mean go within?
Well, I'm pretty excited too, Gail, because next year I'm actually developing like my platform to do like a school, so I can actually put forward my meditations and things like that, create them and put them forward so people have access to them for, you know, for a fee, of course, but, you know, so it's there for people, because this, like, it's been the weirdest thing for me, because I thought everybody knew this stuff, but they don't, and just some basic steps, you know, how to do it. And you know, one of the things that I did that was ages ago, was kicking your inner critic in the butt. Do you remember that one? Remember that I showed it to you? Oh gosh, that would be the beginning of the year, I think, about the negative self-talk, you know, how to get on top of the negative self-talk.
Yes, that's a big serious issue.
Yeah, so I mean, I've sort of left all of that, and I'm just doing something else now, which is just building a platform in the background. So I'm looking forward to launching that.
Based on you saying about meditation or something, sometime what we should do is maybe get together again and do a meditation show.
Easy.
Just with a meditation and a little bit of breathing, and you know, forget all this crap that's going on, and just go within, and give people the means to go within with a meditation and a breathing exercise. So if you'd ever like to do that, just let me know. And
sure. So why don't we just do one right now?
Oh, let's go for it.
It'll only be 5 minutes or so. Gail, can you hear this?
Yes.
Is it clear? Okay.
So, yeah, it is.
Okay, so everybody just close your eyes. This is at the frequency of heart. And just use that breathing that we were doing before, breathing down deep into your tummy, and just focus on that sound. And it's a pulsation that goes into your heart. And that pulsation that's going into your heart is now spreading through your body. Exponentially, it's light, it's truth, it's freedom, it's peace. And it's now rippling into every cell, muscle, tissue, and organ in your body. And it's even going above your head. It's even going out your arms. And it feels lovely. You can feel the love emanating through your body, through your being. And you can now start feeling everything outward from your body and into the room. And as you expand yourself, your consciousness expands with it, and it busts out of the external outside husk that has been limiting all of your consciousness, all of your belief systems, and it's just cracking it open. And in that cracking open, from Prime Creator comes a column of light, straight from Prime Creator, from creation, straight down over the top of your head, and it just emanates through every cell of your body now, down to your toes, and it outwards to the sides. And it's just the most beautiful love. And within this love, in this light, there is a message. And if you just sit with that for just a moment, use your breath and ask, what is my message for today from Creator? Just sit there for a moment and just breathe and ask that question and let yourself be carried into the light, inwardly into the light, into your heart. What message has Prime Creator God got for me? I'm going to ask Prime Creator to bring to me, to yourselves, a healing frequency that is absolutely divinely perfect for me at the moment. So you're repeating this. Prime Creator, can I have a frequency of healing that will wash away all outdated, unwanted tensions from my entire being on every level of my existence? And may it be done. And it is done. As the healing pours through, in and around everything, all dark turns to light. All imbalances turn to balance. And it is so.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much.
My absolute love to you, Gail, and I hope you have a festive season. I thank you all so much. I just love.
Love, yes.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Love is infinite, brings in infinite possibilities.
And one day we will hug. And I just want to send love to everybody who watches this as well. We're getting through this. It's as easy as what we just did to get to change the difference, to make difference. You just do something as simple as that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, listeners. Thank you so much, Amanda. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
You can contact me at amandanewearth.com.
Yes. And if you want me to, well, I'll put that in the description when we're done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Blessings on your souls, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to end this and show this for a minute and
standing tall and standing strong, defiant and looking on, no way down from our past we climb, we'll push on while there's good life. Watch our lives through